for my first home.
Go ahead and feed them. So we have, you know, our famous hibachi bowls that we actually do, and it's got protein, fried rice, and sriracha and soy sauce for them to go and stuff. So
lots of hot meals. I think I have the Instagram on your screen because you kind of became a little viral here, but right, because you started providing this,
right,
and then people started reaching out. They're like, well, okay, you're helping out. How can we help out?
Right. They started bombarding us last night, and they donated all this to us just last night. A lot of foundations. There's at Big Sleeps. He's a big tattoo artist in LA. He put everything together for us, and we went viral because of him and other people. So the whole community is coming together.
It's one of those things, you know, you're like, we just want to help out, and I know a lot of people want to help out. You know, why are you doing this? You're an Angelino, right? You're kind of born and raised here?
Born and raised in South Central LA, and always, you know, admired firefighters and police officers, even though some people didn't, but you know, they need our help, and we have to come together.
Yeah. How are you guys doing? Because you were telling me you're putting in, I'm going to take a look at your truck in here, because your guys are hard at work, right?
Right.
They told me that you keep cooking. When all of it is done, you leave it here for the night, you go back, and you basically get all your supplies for the next day, and then you do it all over again.
Right. We're on day 2. Part of we're going to try to stay here as long as we possibly can, and they need us as well.
Awesome. Tell us a special connection. Come on back out here, because you have a special connection with the captain, right? You guys were talking, and you're like, he's heading this up, you're heading this up, and then you realize that you guys had kind of this special connection.
Right. He came out here and said, why you do it? And I said, we want to give back. I told him where I grew up, and near USC. And then he said, I grew up near USC. So we grew up blocks, you know, within blocks of each other.
What is that? Exposition Park, or what's the area?
That's what it's called right now, Exposition Park.
It's called right now? What's it called? Exposition Park back then?
Well, back then we called it South Central.
Okay. Well, South Central or Exposition Park represent is what I say.
Yes.
Thank you for your service, Captain. We appreciate for everything you and your firefighters are doing right now. I know that a lot of these guys are working really hard. They're very tired. And Mike, obviously, thank you and your family for providing the services. Bachi Yaki. And if you're out there and you're wondering how you can help, how you can donate, they'll take the donations. Reach out to him on Instagram. I'm going to put it right there on your screen again. It's at Bachi. Tell me the Instagram again.
At Bachiaki LA.
There's underscore in there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. At Bachiaki_LA.
Gotcha. I remember you telling me that.
Thank you so much.
All right, there they are. So another great story there. People coming together in the face of crisis.
Boy, that is quite literally food for the soul right there. Go give him a follow. Bachiaki doing great things for the community. This is what it's all about, right? When you're talking about times of crisis, wrapping your arms around each other. We need people.
Good people.
Yes.
It's a nice contrast to the story of people looting and taking advantage of people.
For sure. All right, we're gonna go to break. We'll be right back.
Our partners there on Fox 11 in Los Angeles bringing a very great story as we are seeing Angelinos coming together to help everyone that has been devastated by these fires all across Los Angeles County. A live now look at the Port of LA, courtesy of our partners at Earth Care. We will also step away for a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with more of this coverage next. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and thank you for sticking with us as we continue to partner with Fox 11 in Los Angeles as they are discussing the devastation because of the wildfires that are burning across Los Angeles County. They are checking in with one of their reporters live on the ground. Let's watch.
To insurance, do they try to find somewhere to stay, somewhere to rent? But they're also telling us that hotels in the area, places to rent, are skyrocket high with prices, but also really aren't available because of the sheer amount of people who are all trying to do the same thing. And we want to show you some video of this Eden fire so you can really get an idea of the impact, the devastation following this fire. We're on day 3 now, and because the winds have really eased, people have had the chance to go back to their properties, and people just tell me that this is something that they could never have imagined could happen to them because their homes are rubble. There's absolutely nothing left behind, and many of them are also dealing with the trauma of having to see their homes burn to the ground with no resources in sight because a lot of them said there were no firefighters available to be on my street to help put out the flames, so they felt helpless as their homes just burned to the ground, all of their belongings, all of their memories with it as well. We spoke with people who live in Altadena, but we also spoke with a mother and son duo who live in Pasadena and never thought the fire would reach them, but it did, and they lost absolutely everything.
I was thinking I was coming home to my wonderful place I just bought, just paid for. December 17th was my last payment. I think it's February 6th would have been my 13th year in the home, my first home ever. So, you know, it's gone. I stood there and watched it go. And like I was telling another gentleman, I just have the peace of God, which passes understanding, because I can't understand it myself, that I'm not, you know, I'm devastated. I am upset, but I'm at peace. And it's different. You know, I'm a praiser and I'm a worshiper. And the home to me is things that can be replaced. We have our life, and that's the most important thing.
And she just kept talking about how grateful she is that she and her son are okay, that they have their lives. Of course, everyone deals with loss and grief differently. So she said she's at peace, and that's wonderful. We've also spoken with people who are just gutted and devastated. Some people are angry as well because they feel like they should have been helped. People have been asking, why wasn't there a contingency plan to plan for this when they knew the winds were coming? So there's a lot of different emotions out here, but one thing that is universal is the concern about what's next, what steps people should take in order to get this ball rolling, because everyone knows this is going to be a very long process to rebuild. I'll send it back to you.
Poor woman who just made the last payment on her house in December. That's
First
awful.
home that she's owned.
That's right. And I also want to point you, by the way, our website has a link to all the hotels that are offering discounts to people who might be displaced in these fires, because she did mention that a lot of people were looking at some hotels and the rates were astronomical. We have discounts on our website then.
And I didn't know that was allowed, as you said.
I thought that there was a cap. There was a rule that you can't
do that.
You can't price gouge in times of natural disaster like this.
Okay, so as the result of the ongoing wildfires continue, Caltrans did announce major lane closures, some fully blocked at various locations. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so let's start with Pacific Coast Highway. So southbound lanes between Malibu Canyon Road and the 10 freeway are closed, and northbound lanes are closed at the McClure Tunnel. For the 10 freeway, westbound lanes are closed at Lincoln Boulevard, as well as on-ramps from 4th and 5th Streets. And finally, Topanga Canyon Boulevard remains fully closed between PCH and Mulholland Drive.
Let's touch on some road closures for the Eaton fire on Angeles Crest Highway. Eastbound lanes at the entrance of Angeles National Forest to Big Tahunga Road are closed for the 210 freeway. The westbound and eastbound on-ramp from Arroyo Boulevard is closed. And then finally for San Gabriel Canyon Road, that remains fully closed north of Azusa, allowing only residents there to be able to enter.
And finally, let's talk road closures for the Hearst fire. For the 5 freeway, northbound truck lanes to the 14 freeway are closed. And for the 210 freeway, westbound truck lanes to the 5 and Yarnell Street on and off ramps do remain closed.
So Stu Mundell up in Sky Fox, he gave us this incredible perspective this morning, and this really paints a picture as far as the complete and utter devastation in one Palisades neighborhood. And here he is showing us his perspective and talking about what he's seeing from Sky Fox.
This is like the first chance that we're actually kind of getting a look at that real devastation when they keep saying over 1,000 homes burned in the Palisades. This is one of those areas, this neighborhood, I would venture to say probably 500, maybe more homes out there. As I just get wider and wider, you can see some of the homes still standing, but so many of them just flattened out here. We can bring the map back up here in just a moment, but this is off of Sunset near Alma Real Drive. That's going to be the general area, and that's also part of the downtown area there as well. But take a look at that. This is when you talk about a brush fire and you say, oh, there's some homes that have been destroyed, I never picture anything like this. This is just blocks after blocks after blocks of that neighborhood out here, and you can just see it just goes and goes and goes. And then sometimes there is, oddly enough, there's like a structure standing or maybe a garage standing, but for the most part, I would say every home in this neighborhood flattened due to the Palisades fire. And I would venture to say also, during one of the press conferences, I did hear them talking. One of the people talking about an entire neighborhood burning, and there was no resources there. This might have been what they were talking about, because it just goes and goes and goes. But also in that same breath could you imagine being a firefighter, even with all the resources that you could possibly have at your fingertips? How do you battle an entire neighborhood burning? This has got to be 500 homes, maybe more. This is something that I personally have never seen, and again, I would venture to say a lot of other folks watching have never seen, especially here in the Southern California area.
Was that with that shot that I realized that the firefighters were no match for a fire that was this destructive. And I'm not kidding. We were watching it in the newsroom, and it got so quiet.
I know.
That you could hear a pin drop. And I heard some people even get emotional watching it.
I know. Well, because first of all, it really doesn't look real. It looks like a Hollywood production, or really like a war zone. I hate using these cliches, but it does. It does look like a bomb went off. And my gosh. And then you think about, they were fighting those fires and the conditions in which they were fighting those fires, and still are, where they can't even see, right? Because of the winds. It's just insanity.
And then people and families and kids going back to these neighborhoods then once it's all said and done, once it's clear to do so.
How do you process that?
How do you process? I think that's what it is. What do you tell your kids? That the neighborhood that they would run around in is now gone. Well, also, how do you even begin to clean that up?
It's going to take a lot. And we did speak to a school principal of a small school in up near Eaton, right, in Altadena. And at that moment, it dawned on me that many of the kids who now don't have a school also don't have a home, too, because most likely the kids who go to that school also go to have homes in the surrounding area, so they're losing a home and a school. These kids are going to have a very tough time. As adults, it's hard for us to grapple with this stuff. So
it took my breath away. I'm not going to lie when I saw those visuals, and that is just one neighborhood in one fire. And we know the Eaton fire was almost as destructive, because you're talking 10,000 plus acres.
Exactly. There are ways, though. I know people want to help. People want to see what they can do to help others. Want to let you know about some resources here. Uber and Lyft are both offering free rides to temporary shelters. You need to use a promo code, though. So for Uber, you've got Wildfire 25, and then you have CA Fire Life 25. So that is one word, CA Fire Life 25. That is for Lyft. Keep in mind, there are limits, though. Uber's rides do have a $40 or less limit, and for Lyft, you can get 2 rides up to $25 each until they get to 500 rides.
And can we keep that up, actually, so people can just take a picture of it really quick?
Yeah, it's better than me telling you. Grab a picture of that.
It's a lot of information that we're giving to you at once, and we understand it can get overwhelming. So yes.
You know what? Hold on. So let me just go back here and see this.
Fire relief.
CA Fire relief, 25. There you go. Yes. Best thing to do is really to screen grab that. Okay. Let's move on to this. Airbnb.org working with 211LA to give free temporary housing to people who have been displaced from their homes or forced to evacuate because of the fires. You do have to fill out an intake form with 211LA to be approved to begin with. So we have that information. So if you go to our website, it's probably the best way to go about this. Go to foxla.com and you can get linked up there. For more short-term relief, immediate help, every Planet Fitness in our area that's still open is offering free access to things like showers, locker rooms. You can also stop and use their Wi-Fi, charge your phone, whatever device you have, or even just relax. Maybe use their lounge massage chairs.
That's gonna be really helpful for people to kind of feel normal again.
Exactly, I know. So this is for anyone impacted by the fires, including first responders, by the way.
Yeah.
You do not need a membership. So again, it's free. Just keep in mind some locations have been forced to close because of the fires. So you do want to go to an open location, check ahead of time. Again, go to our website. You get all this information. If you were having a hard time keeping up with what we were saying, foxla.com is where to go.
Our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. And again, I just want to reiterate what they were saying. If you go to foxla.com, you can see all of those resources that they just mentioned for anyone that has been severely impacted by these fires. We are taking a live look once again out there at chopper footage over Altadena, California. As you can see, the skies are still very hazy, and you can also see from this vantage point a huge plume of smoke out there in the distance. Crews are still working to battle multiple fires across Los Angeles County. Tens of thousands of people still under mandatory evacuation orders. We are going to step away for our final commercial break of the hour at Live Now from Fox, but we have continuing coverage on the other side. Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Corella Hara. I will be with you for the next hour or so as we continue to focus in with our partners in Fox 11 Los Angeles regarding these wildfires across Los Angeles County. They're checking in with their reporter live on the ground. Let's watch.
Much to indicate what was there. There's no signage, so we've basically been having to use Google Maps for some of these businesses that aren't listed, and also talking to nearby residents when we can to find out what these places were. Now, just in front of this business, or what's left of it, take a look. You can see some cars that were torched here. We've seen dozens throughout this area here in Altadena. Just imagine that fire passing through car by car, home by home, business by business, across the street here, across Lake Avenue. You can see about 24 cars parked in the lot there. That is a Breakmasters that caught fire yesterday. We're talking about 100 structures that have been destroyed by the Eaton fire, hundreds more that have been damaged. The fire sitting at over 10,600 acres, still 0% contained, and we know that 5 lives were lost and a significant number of injuries were reported, with many being rushed and treated at hospitals. The sheriff expects that death toll to rise, unfortunately. Now, this was first reported Tuesday near Altadena and Midwick drives around 6 p.m. Some of the communities still under mandatory evacuation orders at this hour include Pasadena, La Cañada, Flintbridge, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. Now, I will say, while driving through the area, we've seen downed power lines along North Lake Avenue, downed trees, torched cars, as we showed you, lining the streets, and several road closures. We heard earlier in that news conference there were roughly 20 arrests for looting, and we talked to a few homeowners, 2 homeowners here on Boston Street who were returning here to the neighborhood. Their homes were untouched, fortunately, but they didn't want to show anything from their property or really talk because they were worried about looting. So it continues to be a concern for some of these vulnerable neighborhoods as the Eaton fire continues to burn up above the hills in Altadena. For now, live, I'm Mario Ramirez. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Mario, and unfortunately that is something that you have to think about after you've lost everything that you know.
What does the neighborhood that you're at specifically right now, how does it look as far as what's standing and what's not?
I mean, there are blocks that have been completely leveled. Justin O'Brien behind the camera, if we can maybe, take you down this way along Boston. This entire stretch, we count at least 6 homes here on Boston Street that are completely gone, and we'll show you one here at the corner next to the tattoo shop and this herbal medicine shop. And it looks like this for blocks and blocks. It's really hard to grasp. It's unbelievable when you're driving through this area, and unfortunately that's the scene that many of these residents are going to be looking at when they're repopulating these areas, which is not the case yet. Again, those mandatory evacuations still in place. But just look at this. It's really, really sad to see this devastation.
Think about homes that were spared, but then people moved back into their neighborhoods eventually, right? And then you have, that pharmacy, was their local pharmacy gone, the coffee shop, the bank, whatever it is. Life is just going to look very different for a while.
Oh, yeah, the Aldi Food Mart just up the street. I know Christy Fajardo was reporting in front of it while it was burning, and we can confirm the inside completely gutted by the fire. So, yes, banks, local markets, all kinds of different businesses that these communities rely on.
It also looks like winter. I mean, I know it's winter, but it looks like
everything's so charred.
Yes,
yeah,
it looks like a different place, not Southern
It's
California.
almost like in fires like this, the aftermath, it turns everything monochromatic.
Yes.
Everything is just kind of black and white right now.
Yeah, and you see that smoke smoldering still. Look at those spots. It's just so eerie, so eerie. Mario, thank you. Thanks to you. And I think you said you're with Justin, right? Thank you, guys.
Yes, no problem. Thanks, guys.
And you can see the smoke in the aftermath of this fire. Still, I mean, it's still in a lot of spots, still raging. But that smoke and whatever's in the smoke is something that you have to be concerned about as well. We are going to take a short break. It's almost 1 o'clock, and we will be right back with continuing coverage of the California wildfires.
So Fox 11 LA taking a quick break, but we are going to stay on here, give you a couple of these live images that we keep filtering through as we recap what we know the latest with these fires in Los Angeles County. Here on your screen, we're taking a look at the Port of LA, courtesy of our partners at EarthCam. And then I do want to circle back to that chopper image that Fox 11 was just showcasing on their air. And you can really see just how the smoke has impacted all of these areas across LA County. Smoke still rising up there as crews are working to put out several of these fires that we are continuing to monitor. Tens of thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate. And I want to bring up this 4-box shot, 4 different live looks. Take a look here on your screen. So we have Santa Monica, California, Los Angeles, LAX, And then there on the bottom right corner, you have Mount Wilson, California. Now, very early on, when I first sat on the desk, I had commented that this camera, it seemed to be frozen. And it is actually, because just a little short time ago, we saw those flames approaching Mount Wilson and the Mount Wilson Observatory, really affecting all of the communication lines that are up there. And that's why we no longer have a live picture over there. So that was pretty much like the last picture that we were able to get before that camera went down completely. I want to bring up a post on X from the Mount Wilson Observatory, in which they say, as you may have seen on the news, the Eaton fire is approaching Mount Wilson. There are firefighters on the ground, but the power is out at the observatory, so communication is limited. We are monitoring the situation and will update here as we can. Thank you for your concern. A couple of other posts to filter through the Angeles National Forest saying this, that effective immediately, the fire danger level has increased to critical at the Angeles National Forest. The temporary closure of the forest announced on January 8th and extending through January 15th at midnight, end of the day, is tied to critical fire danger. Continuing on here, we have a reaction from the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He says Canada is mobilizing to help fight the wildfires in Southern California. Canadian water bombers are already in action. 250 firefighters are ready to deploy. The Canadian forces are standing by to move personnel and equipment to our American neighbors. Canada's here to help. Now, earlier we did showcase some of those planes that were doing water drops along the area, but I am seeing that our partners at Fox 11 are back with their continuing coverage, so let's head out to them live.
Fires that are burning right now across the Southland. The wildfires are forcing mass evacuations. Hundreds of thousands of residents have been ordered to leave their homes as flames threaten thousands of structures. Those strong Santa Ana winds have been fueling the fires. Things are a little bit quieter today, but that was making containment awfully difficult.
Several big fires burning in LA right now, so let's get to that. The Palisades fire in Pacific Palisades, the Eaton fire above Altadena, the Hearst fire in the Sylmar area, and of course you have that Sunset fire in the Hollywood Hills. Star Harvey joining us this morning, or oh gosh, I'm so robotic in this.
I know, we keep on saying the morning.
This afternoon, Star, you took over for Maria. Good to see you, and it looks like there's a little bit of a lull with these winds, which is good news, so firefighters can take advantage, right?
Yeah, you know, the difference in, what we did see starting on Tuesday morning as to, where we are now, or at the peak of those winds, it is a complete different story, or at least it's feeling like one out there. But again, we are expecting the winds to ramp right on back up, you guys. So we do currently have some of those lighter winds pushing out of the northeast, and this is going to be for some of the area, not all of us. We do still have some breezes and gusts moving along some of the area, but we will again have some of those stronger situations pushing into this afternoon. I have us as early as the 3 o'clock hour, and like our advisories, we're expecting those winds to carry us through portions of tomorrow. We do have the continuation of that red flag warning. It has been extended several times. As of now, the National Weather Service has extended it until tomorrow at 6 p.m. Rightfully so, just like as you can see right out at that picture right there with our fires and all that smoke out there. We do have an air quality alert in place. This one will carry through today.
I'm so sorry. We're going to have to interrupt you for just a moment, because we are getting some breaking news right now. This fire that has spread to the peak of Mount Wilson. We're going to go up to Stu, who's in Skyfox right now. This could interrupt our communication system and the way we broadcast to you. Good morning, Stu.
Hey, good morning, and yes, that is correct. We were showing you that earlier on the last show about how that fire of the Eaton fire made its way all the way up to the top of Mount Wilson. Skyfox, we got a honey-do list. We made our way back out to the Palos Verdes area, but you can still see a lot of that smoke. What the problem is behind that smoke are antennas, huge antennas. They're called repeaters, and that's how we broadcast the show over the air. If you're watching us that's not on cable or not on the internet and still still using an off-air type of system, this might actually interrupt that system. So that's the reason why we're talking about this right now. Look at all that smoke. I'm going to talk about that for just a moment. Take a look. This is all the smoke. If you are in, San Gabriel, Pasadena, West LA, downtown Los Angeles, Hollywood, and you're like, wow, all that smoke, that's not actually the Palisades fire. That is all from the Eaton Canyon fire, and it made its way all the way up to the top of Mount Wilson. All that smoke and everything that you're seeing right down there, that is the areas that are being covered by that smoke. That's Santa Monica, Santa Monica Airport right there in the shot. Now, Skyfox actually up over the Palisades fire, and we actually had the DCA just moments ago doing some orbits. This is the actual Palisades fire. The most of the smoke from this is making its way out over the ocean and actually going out towards Ventura and Oxnard. So there is a lot of smoke out here. There's still a lot of activity. They did have the DC-8 here. They were going to do some Phos-Check drops. They are really still trying to work to get this thing locked down before those winds really start picking up again. Right now, there's the DC-8. I'm not sure if he just did the drop or if he's still setting up, but you can see them actually out here. They're bringing in the big guns. They are taking this moment when the winds are a little bit lighter, and they're bringing in the big fixed wings, and they're going to start dropping a lot of that Phos-Check, that red fire retardant out here to kind of just box in these the flames that are still active up on the hillside. So if the winds do kick up, there's a good chance that it will just basically run to a line and burn itself out. That is what they're hoping for. But right now, though, still a lot of devastation out here, and of course we saw this earlier on, but I know that we were just supposed to talk about the repeater, but there's so much going on out here, and especially from the air, and we got this visuals from all these different angles. I needed to share it with you all. Sending it back to you all in the studio.
Stu, I'm checking this, which, by the way, is an amazing app. It's called Watch Duty. It gives you updates on evacuations and whatnot, and it says the crews conducted defensive firing at Mount Wilson, and they report that everything is going good. This is per, radio traffic, and that no infrastructure has been impacted. Is this something that you're seeing as well up there in Skyfox?
Well, when we were on the other side of the smoke and we could actually see the antennas, I was actually wondering what was actually going on up there, because we didn't see any active firefighters or anything moving around and like aircraft. When we went to the this side of it, which would be the west side of the smoke plume, we did see a couple of LA County fire helicopters, but they weren't making any effort to go up there. So actually, I did think to myself, I wonder if they're doing backfires just to clear the brush in the area, taking advantage of what was going on. And they know how strong those winds are, but there's been times in the past where a backfire might actually create more of a problem than they intended. But if the fire does get to any of those buildings out there and the power does go out, that's going to create problems for communications for first responders. It'll create communications problems for us. Anybody that's watching Fox on an off-air system, they might lose that signal until we get that repeater back up. So that's one of the big concerns right now, but all that smoke is also a huge concern for a lot of folks out there. I mean, even up in Skyfox, a lot of times we can say, well, we're up in a helicopter, but lately, today, my eyes are watering. This is really tough stuff, and I can just imagine what a lot of folks are dealing with down there on the ground.
Wow, Stu. Okay, thank you for that. So as Stu mentioned, that fire is burning near Mount Wilson, and yes, it could impact the way we broadcast, our ability to even be able to share this information with you. The communication towers are how we transmit our newscasts to you as well. And he did mention first responders and emergency personnel rely on the signal as well. So if our over-the-air broadcast happens to go down, we will continue our coverage on our Fox local app and on our YouTube page, which we just had up there, and hopefully we can get that banner up and you can check that out there in case things go wrong.
Just underscores the unusual times that we're living in right now. And yes, so that being said, this is important to know that Fox 11 Los Angeles, we have the Fox local app that's available through Amazon, Fire TV, Apple TV, Roku, and Google Android TV.
And then there it is, youtube.com/FoxLA, in case we lose you here. So the Palisades fire, of course, the largest fire in our region right now, with more than 17,000 acres burned.
Yeah, so Tom Bakar from our sister station KTVU is actually live now in Malibu. Tom, good afternoon. What can you tell us?
Well, I want you to take a look, because this is the grim side of what we're talking about. The grim side of this is the coroner's wagon. They just a few minutes ago loaded the remains of a human being who was in this burned out building, home. What happened was that a relative of the person who is now deceased had called in, was not able to contact the loved one, and asked the sheriff's office to go out and do a welfare check. When they came out, they saw, of course, the destroyed building, but they also thought what they saw was also human remains. That falls under the jurisdiction of the homicide folks, and as a result, it doesn't mean it's necessarily a crime. It is just their jurisdiction, and they called in crime scene lab investigators to take a look. Well, they determined that the coroner should be called in, and indeed the coroner was called in, and the coroner did find human remains, certainly appear to be that, and put them in the coroner's wagon to be taken for medical examination. Now, there are two other such of these incidents, as you probably know, in Altadena, so the coroner's office has been busy. But having said that, when you think about this, and I've covered these things for decades, only 5 deaths in a fire of this side is a testament to LA County preparation, a real testament to the people who actually followed evacuation orders and the actual response that went on, which may be criticized for some things, but it worked. And when you think about this, the Paradise Fire, a small town in Northern California, the worst fire, had 85 deaths. And I don't think it was any worse than some of the stuff we've seen around here. And it's not even in the top 20 here. 6 deaths are the ones that are start the top 20 most deadly fires. And LA County in this fire so far has had only 5. So it's a testament to preparation and what people actually did by paying attention to all of that. Now, this scene will be cleared, you know, obviously now, without the human remains. It's no longer a scene of anything other than a place that's going to have to be cleaned up. But some family is going to get the terrible news that their loved one has indeed perished, and that that person is now on their way to the medical examiner's office. I'm sure they probably have already been informed. Reporting live from Malibu, Tom Bakar for KTTV Fox 11 News.
That is just so tragic. Tom, I wanted to ask you this because it is obviously still so early since these fires erupted, and the rubble is for miles and miles. Do you know if fire officials have had a chance to go through home by home? I know that the call came in through a welfare check with that particular home, but what about the others? And there are so many homes that have burned to the ground. You wonder if there could be more, sadly. You hope that number holds, though. You really do.
Well, I hope it holds, but the reality is that every home has not been looked at. Now, a lot of people are probably still being sought to find out where they are and all that, and many, many people who are missing end up being, showing up or calling in or doing whatever it is that they have to do, or they contact loved ones, and that list gets very small very, very quickly. But do I think in a vast fire the size of this and the other ones in the LA basin that there are other victims? They certainly do, because two things are at work here. Some people don't have loved ones that would call in, or might not think to call in for a welfare check or something like that, or maybe couldn't get through and didn't think much of it. And the other thing is just the sheer volume of what you're talking about. And it's not like, the bodies are laying out in, in easy to find form. In some cases, they've been incinerated. In some cases, there could be feet of ashes on top of them. So no, I think that there's very high likelihood that this number is going to go up. But at this point in time, it's way too early in that process. But when they do hear that there is a possibility of that, they go out and they check that immediately, because other than saving lives, recovering bodies is a very high priority after any kind of disaster like this, because you cannot possibly let people back in if there's a single chance that one of these properties might have something like that going on. So that is the situation based on my experience, which goes back quite a few years.
That's right. Tom Bakar with our sister station KTVU reporting there from the Palisades fire in Malibu. Tom, thank you so much for your reporting.
Okay, thanks.
Here's a look right now. The map of the Palisades fire started near Piedra Morada and Monte Hermoso drives. I haven't said that since it began, right? It's been a while when we were talking about how this fire began, and those red flag warnings still in effect despite the fact that we've had days of this. The winds in a bit of a lull depending on where you are, but again, as all of our meteorologists have mentioned throughout the morning, those winds are going to pick up.
That's right. And I believe the red flag warnings are going to be remaining in effect, what, until tomorrow?
Yes.
Right, tomorrow evening. So we're also hearing from our colleagues who live in Topanga that the website that you see, hopefully we can put it up there on your screen. This is for residents in Topanga. Well, if it's not there, let me just tell you, it's the Topanga Coalition for Emergency Preparedness, and that website is tcep.org/emergency status. And there's just a lot of resources that are available to you if you want some more information. I mean, there's 3 apps that I can think of off the top of my head, and that would be the Genesis Protect app, and that's GENASYS Protect. You also have the Watch Duty app, which can give you notifications on different fires that might be popping up or evacuation zones, and then of course our Fox mobile app.
Fox app is a great one. If you haven't downloaded it yet, do so, please. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will check in on the deadly Eaton fire in Altadena. Again, more than 10,000 acres burned.
As our partners at Fox 11 and take a commercial break, we will do the same here at Live Now from Fox. Just quickly, this live image that they continue to show over Altadena, California, and you can see down there really the devastation that's been seen because of these fires. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and thank you for being with us throughout this Thursday. I'm your host, Carla Hado, and we are continuing to discuss the wildfires burning in Los Angeles County. Let's head out to Fox 11 in Los Angeles for their coverage.
Yeah, and you know, sadly, this is these are the difficult moments. People are now returning to the community of Altadena here, and sometimes arriving to see their home still intact, but many, many times now, this is what they're finding. These are homes that are, well, homes in general are irreplaceable. This is an 100-year-old home. Many of the homes here are historic homes. And the woman I spoke with earlier, Cindy Ott, this home is fully insured, but she'll never be able to replace it. Essentially nothing left standing here.